All right, good evening. Let's call the Board of Directors meeting to order for May 10th, 2023. Let us stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Denise, can we get a roll call, please?
Director Walper?
Here.
Director Martinez?
Here.
Director Berman?
Here.
Director Johnston? Director Shibahara?
Here.
Vice Chair Wheeler?
Here.
Chair Rydell?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And Denise, was the agenda properly notified?
Yes, it was.
Perfect. So now to approve the agenda, and I actually have an amendment, so I'm just going to amend the agenda. You'll see in section F, item 3, we're going to have Representative James Heeb here this evening, and he is unfortunately unable to make it. So we're going to pull that from the agenda tonight and add him to next month. So he is excited to be here. I will also say they'll have more financial data at the state level next month that he can share, so excited about that. And that is the amendment I have. Is there any other amendments? So if I can get a motion then to approve the now amended agenda, taking off F3, please.
Chair Idell, I move to approve the amended agenda as noted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye if you're remote.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Perfect. All right, item C, Board of Directors reports. We'll start at that end with Director Walper.
Yeah, I want to throw out a shout, kudos to our CFO over here. I've sat on both sides of the table many a times in corporate America, and you did an excellent job. Very concise, very easy to understand and to read. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Walper. Director Shibahara.
Just really excited about all the activities that are happening around the school. Lots of spring sports. My kids are doing track and tennis. Trey, my older son, my junior is second round districts with his doubles partner tomorrow in Salem. Got a chaperone prom, which was amazing, and such a good group of kids. Everybody was like, it was the best venue ever. Awesome. I love chaperoning that, and it was beautiful and fun, and just really proud of the schools, how everything's looking in the district, and just appreciate being a part of all that's happening around here.
Awesome, thank you. Director Martinez.
No reports other than I kudo what everybody's saying. Really excited for graduation. I have a graduating student this year, so really looking forward to that this year. And also I'm really happy that we were able to approve the budget for this coming year. So I really thank our CFO for that too. So
Awesome, thank you. Vice Chair Wheeler.
I went to the River Mill spring production yesterday. My youngest son is on the choir for both schools, and he's actually, for clock and service, going on right now as we speak, and missing it, but it was a great turnout. I think they did 2 sessions last night and 2 sessions tonight, and I got there a little bit late and had to stand, so there's plenty of kids and parents supporting those kids, so it was great. Good to see we're firing those back up and letting the music program sing.
Love it. All right, for me, also got to chaperone prom. Oh, I got it. Director Berman, sorry.
Thanks. Real quick, I was really happy to see this Esticated Events College program get released. I know initial planning, it was, expected maybe 10 kids. I went to the actual meeting. There were 30 plus kids that showed up to that. A lot of applications turned in, and it's just exciting to see that we made that available for our students who wanted or need it, and looking forward to see how it performs, and thanks to the district for putting it together.
Awesome. Thank you, Director Berman. I also got to chaperone prom, so that was my first formal chaperoning, and I don't think it'll be my last. So But kudos to the high school staff for putting that together, and it was a great venue. It was, for those that don't know, it was on the Portland Spirit, which creates an opportunity for students to potentially drive downtown on Mardi Gras weekend, no less. So,
Or Cinco de Mayo.
or Cinco de Mayo, thank you. But just a great event. Kids were awesome. So, echo on the budget. Spring Fling is coming up, so High School Music is going to put on the British Invasion, so that is coming up next month. So some really awesome music coming with that. As I have talked in the previous meeting, state solo competition was a couple weeks ago, I think now. We ended up with 3 participants, so 2 vocal, 1 instrumental. The Jaden Arnold was in there for the first time and received very good marks from a vocal standpoint. Jacob Brooks playing the euphonium, who did a fantastic job and represented well. And then Andrew Rydell, who was there and placed 3rd, so which was really cool. So, and according to Mr. Frunk, that's the highest vocalist we've ever had place at state coming out of Estacada High School. So, so it was a great. Estacada was well represented. I will also say, while I was there, I had 2 people come up and congratulate us on our state football championship, which I graciously accepted. Congratulations.
On behalf of the board.
On behalf of the board, of course. So, and that is all I have. So let's move into district reports and communications. Looks like we have Danny Randall and Leticia Gonzalez coming up tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Leticia Gonzalez Jaramillo and I'm the district translator interpreter. So I wanted to share with you all that over the past few years, I've been making sure that our families have a system in place to identify our Spanish-speaking families. So by obtaining information on enrollment forms, I was able to create a logo with the help of our technology department that basically identifies every student and family that needs interpretation or translation services. This not only is helpful for me, but it's also helpful to the entire district because now teachers and staff are aware of who needs those interpretation and translation services. So every year I look through student enrollments and I make sure that I add that translation symbol to any incoming student. We currently have over 89 students using that translation logo. I also send out monthly parent mailers to over 60 Spanish-speaking families with a newsletter that shows helpful tips, school-related information, application information, upcoming events, and important dates to keep in mind. And this was feedback that I received from our monthly parent engagement meetings, which I'll touch base on a little bit later. As I was starting this work, I also started creating a rounding log for our district families. Since I was just starting, it was helpful for me to listen and gain input from our families on what was working and what wasn't working. So during the pandemic, mid-pandemic, our families struggled with technology and also making sure that their kiddos logged on. But now that I've created this rounding log, I've seen more parents engaged and involved in their child's learning at school. So asking those essential questions is really helpful. What's working well? What resources do you need? What can I do to help, or what the district can do to help? And is there anyone especially helpful for you? Through using this format, I was able to create our parent engagement group. So from the information I was receiving, once a month I hold a Spanish-speaking parent night, and we come together and touch base on these questions and monthly reminders. So for example, this year we're really looking at specific topics or areas of discussion that need more explanation for our families. Last month we held an informational night that included Bettina Bowles, who came and talked about her resources and what she provides at the elementary levels. We also invited Todos Juntos, Yestini Gonzalez, Family Resource Coordinator, who talked about pre-K programs and then what Todos Juntos as a whole offers our community. So families were really engaged, they participated, they asked questions. The one helpful change that I've noticed, not only sending out emails or parent square notifications, but I also started adding mass voice communications into that parent square so that our families can hear the voice message and actually pick up the phone and listen to it and then come. So this was one area that I've definitely seen tremendous growth. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you so much, and now I'll pass it over to Danny.
Thank you.
All right, hello, everybody. I'm just gonna do some updates on projects that we have ongoing. So first off, our long-range facilities planning is still rolling along through our timeline. Right now, we are continuing to meet, making sure that our committee members are staying engaged and up to date. Spring sports are in full effect, so scheduling's a little rough, but we're making sure to contact those that cannot make it, sending out other ways for them to provide feedback and any suggestions. Also, what we're working on is narrowing down some budget scenarios. By that I mean just representing what each bond package that has been brought up would actually be able to bring to the table, and seeing if that is something that our committee can come to some sort of consensus with. So we're working on that with them, and being able to see like what are the priorities that they have, whether that's additional buildings, just the high priority maintenance. Mike will go over that in detail during the operations report as far as numbers and where we're at, but hopefully we'll be able to come to some sort of consensus and be able to discuss it with the school board and then move forward with community polling and really get the large picture from the community. We did implement school tours either before or after our meetings, so that gives our committee members an opportunity to see in some of the buildings that they may not have otherwise been in and be able to kind of see what's behind closed doors or the main concerns that we have in the different buildings throughout the district. And then just taking the feedback opportunities. Our group is very vocal on noting their concerns and having really valid questions and visions for our district. And so just taking that information and then utilizing that to implement outreach strategies with all the information that we're gathering. Next is strategic planning. So with that, we were able to host a focus group with our certified staff. We had a lot of great staff members hop on a Zoom call and be able to provide feedback on our current strategic plan, what changes maybe we should move forward with, and a lot of feedback was given and appreciated. And then as of today, we opened up a survey to the community. I just checked a few minutes ago, and we already have over 300 people have responded. In the next week, I'm going to be out and about in the community, passing out flyers, really making sure that we get the large picture, not just families and parents in our community, but our district as a whole. So we're hoping to get a lot more than just the 300. And really just make sure we're getting the community input on our district's mission, vision, and values moving forward. And then just a few notes on community involvement. As a little snippet of what's been going on, I was able to attend the Clackamas River Kindergarten Connection. It was really great to see all these new parents coming in, connect with them, have, a face to the district office and be able to kind of pass out some fun Estacada things and really help them out with any questions that they had. I've been going in and out of community meetings such as the Community Heart and Soul, reaching out to alumni to spotlight on any upcoming mailers, really just showing success stories, building that pride and ownership in the community is really important. And that's all I have tonight.
All right.
I got a quick question for
Yes.
you, if I may. Since we have such a large Hispanic population here, how do the teachers communicate with those that are speaking Spanish versus English? And I know not every teacher is fluent in Spanish. I was going through my emails the other day and I noticed there was an opportunity to convert it to Chinese or Spanish, or do we do that, or can we do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes. So that's a great question. So we actually, S'mores auto-translate everything into Spanish. I also make sure that everything is translated into Spanish through my version instead of doing the auto-translation through the computer. Teachers and staff usually email me, let me know that I have a translation or they have a project that I can translate, and so I usually send it out to the Spanish-speaking families.
You're a busy lady.
Yes.
Very busy. We need like
Yes.
5. Yeah.
And I would say too, the importance of not just doing the auto translation, right? Because it's not 100%. It's better than nothing, but having that experienced set of eyes, and really making sure that the message that we're sending out is a complete and accurate message, really makes a big difference from the engagement of the families as well. Because when we send out a communication that's not correct, it does not demonstrate that we truly care about that communication. So kudos to you, and I know all the hard work you do to get those translations out, so thank you for that.
I do have a follow-up question on some of your questions that you were asking in some of your groups. Do you have like a consistent messaging that parents are sharing with you? On one of your questions says, do you have the resources you need to help your students be successful? Is there like a common theme that parents are sharing with you? Is there?
Right now, really, it's just receiving that information in their home language. We still struggle with that a little bit, but I'm working with all the schools and building principals to make sure that that information is accessible to them. So, but that is a common theme.
So there's still some more communications needed?
Yes.
Thank you.
No questions? All right, thank you both.
Thanks.
For being here
Thank
tonight,
you.
appreciate it. Next up, the aforementioned Mike Ware for Building and Facilities Report.
Well, Mike's coming up here. One thing I think we could do, or we should do for Director Walper is set him up with a ghost account, having a fake student in the school district. So he can get all the schmores and Parent Square and Power School and all that stuff. Because you would,
I don't think you were recognized.
I think it'd be a good thing for you. There's a lot of it that
He's
comes through.
officially recognized.
And Director Walper has just been enrolled as a student.
Oh, perfect, even better.
All right.
All right,
ahead,
good
Mike.
evening, and for your operations report, we'll start off with some capital improvement project updates. Our River Mill seismic project, we are continuing some May break work this next week. As you know, back in spring break, we abated 4 classrooms as part of the project to kind of get it kicked off and get it moving forward. This next break, we'll be doing the remaining 4 classrooms where we'll be peeling up the tiles and safely abating those classrooms. One of the conversations that we're having with the contractors is to polish concrete or to not polish concrete. Early on, I mean, that's a very favorable option for the district and for us. There's low maintenance. It's pretty much done after you seal it. And at times it can look pretty decent and cosmetically okay for classrooms. Early findings is that the slab underneath or the concrete underneath River Mill is probably not as cosmetically appealing, and we'd have to take a lot of work to make it look better and be even after all the work is done. So while we're still considering this, it may not be something in our future currently at this time, those classrooms. Cooling center clean air project, we're just getting into engineering. We need to be able to see if we can put the units on top of the roof or if we need to get creative and put it on the side, down on the ground. Unfortunately, because of product and all the things we know from the pandemic, we're about 35 weeks out from anything starting. And that's just the reality. So there's a question that we'll need to really ask, do we start this project? We have no timeline or deadline to complete per the grant, but as we embark on the high school seismic project, which would be addressing the gym, do we embark on this project before or do we do it concurrently, which would make a little more sense and maybe help us save some money elsewhere. And so I'm going to be considering that with Superintendent Carpenter and Christina Irish as we move forward, as we have some time to think and process. Our CRE HVAC controls, we are in the process of updating our ETO energy audit. If you recall, when we went out to get an RFP for the heat pumps, we completed an energy audit, but it didn't have controls included in that audit by ETO. They're coming out this week to complete that, add the controls so they can provide it to the contractor, and then they can be able to meet the scope of work and will be eligible for ETO's incentives as well as SB 1149
And
E
E
E
ETO
Oh,
stands for?
sorry, thank you very much. ETO is Energy Trust of Oregon incentive. So when we do an upgrade that could have an efficiency status, like it controls to a boiler, AC, windows, lighting, that makes a district or entity eligible if you follow the process. We received some ETO for the stadium project for the lights that we installed. Projected timeline still is about 3 to 4 months out. So we're still gonna get some hot weather. We're working through that with our Clackamas River School, and all schools, to be honest, as we hit the nicer part of spring, the 90-degree weathers, and so we're working on bringing in more outside air, and doing some night purges to keep our buildings cooler in the morning as long as we can. So long-range facility planning, and so just to recap, meetings 4 and 5. Meeting 4, we did go through and started building budget scenarios. And we did this on purpose just to kind of say, here's the total need. And as mentioned before, this process isn't saying the district is going out for bond. It's really identifying all the need within the district, from the facility condition assessment to our enrollment, to our population, and say, this is how much it would cost to address X and XY and XYZ. Our first meeting, we went through and we had the committee group up and go through and just say, build your budgets. And you can see in that top graph, those are the budgets that were presented. It was kind of a blank check process, if you will. And you can see those are very, very high. So a couple modest ones, and they all stemmed around high priority items, so those 4s and 5s on that facility condition assessment, mainly within the first 5 years. Some of the groups elected to choose an elementary. Some chose both elementary, high school, or some just chose high school. One group was fairly creative and didn't choose any of the new schools, but elected to do additional high school or classrooms. And then some additional items, but no new buildings. And when I reference additional items, I'm talking about when we went out for our bond in 2019, 2020, our group, the long-range group and the steering group created an additional list items that were on top of the facility condition assessment. Things like LED lighting, classroom specific for today's learners, and things like that. Those we found those items, we looked at those items, put a list in it, and made today's relative costs to give the group some more perspective and what to look at. And then quickly, we went into meeting 5, realized we needed to refine our budgets. We provided the group 6 different options, and basically we asked them to go around and vote. Option 1, that was based off the voting, was $109 million. Option 2 was $130 million. And you can see what those listed at as far as the definitions, and option 3 is the $80 million.
Can you go back real quick?
Yeah.
What is the no ECDO and ops?
Yeah, thank you. So when we say let's go into the $130 million, where it says no EC, that means no addressing Eagle Creek needs or district office needs or operation needs.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thanks.
So mainly focused on the schools.
Gotcha.
So as mentioned, next steps, hopeful and planning to have a workshop with our board of directors to just dive into this information from the beginning of our long-range planning, to be able to present you with as much information as possible, our condition assessment, go through some scenarios, be able to have questions ready our answers ready for questions, and to really just inform our board on where we're at and let those decisions or those discussions happen. And that's my report for tonight. Any questions?
No.
Thinking.
All right.
Any other questions for Mike? I thought I had one, but I don't.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, and up next, Finance and Accountability Report with Christina Irish.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. Bringing to you our financial reports as of April of 2023, month end. You'll see here that our projected revenue is $43.6 million. I do want to point out in there, our state school fund, we are starting to get, I got more information today for our May adjustment, so our final numbers are coming in. And it is currently looking like we will have about $700,000 more than we originally budgeted. And right there you see 562, but the final number's coming in about $700,000. And then our expenditures are projected to be $38.3 million. This will leave us about $5.2 million, which is about 14%. And then moving to our fund chart, our budget to actuals, you'll see here that year-to-date, we spent 70.2% of our instructional budget. We have, with our encumbrances, we're about 93.4%. For our support services, we spent 75% year-to-date, and with our encumbrances, we're at 98.7%. And then we're projecting to spend all of our other uses and our community sources with our encumbrance, and year-to-date, we're projected at 18.3 right now. And then going to our capital projects, you'll see here I did lower the construction excise tax. It is a lower year this year. So that brings our revenue down to 2.4 million. And our expenditures, I'm sorry, 2.49 million. Our expenditures are 2 million projected. So this will leave us about 500,000 in our capital projects. And our enrollment did decline a little bit this month. You'll see here, our district is 1,874, which is 15 lower than last month and 123 higher than last year at this time. And then with the charter school, we're at 3,109, which is 34 higher than last year at this time. And there is our fun graph. Any questions for me?
Not a question, but just again, as we've looked at enrollment numbers, that dip in April is pretty standard,
Consistent.
right?
Yeah.
So it's throughout the years.
Yeah.
But a nice big increase in March.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
typically see a bump up of that much, so.
Good point.
Any other questions? Christina?
you.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, Superintendent's report. Superintendent Carpenter.
All right, thank you, Executive Board of Directors, and excited to share an update of the school district with you this month. We've got a lot of great things happening. One of the things I just want to clarify, and we remind the board as well as our community, is next week we are innovatively launching our May break. This is a week break from schools. The reason why we are piloting over the next 3 years this May break is because next week is typically our #1 most employee absent week. And so as we work through fatigue and as we work through finishing the end of the school year strong, we're really piloting using data to ensure that we're ensuring that we finish the school year strong and with our licensed experts inside the classroom. So how we're measuring the results of our 4-day school week, our read days, as well as this May break packaged all together, there's really 4 goals that the Estacada School District is currently measuring to ensure it's doing what we wanted it to do. And the first measure is improving student learning outcomes. And from semester 1, which is our most recent data point of accuracy, we are seeing a 9% increase. So in fact, our movement thus far to this 4-day week with Friday read days and this upcoming May break is leading to improved student outcomes at the moment. We also hope to improve student attendance in the movement of this calendar. Right now, I would say it's negligible, but currently, at the end of the day, we are seeing a 1% student enrollment increase, which is great. We also moved to this innovative style of calendar to attract and retain our employee workforce, as well as to get them to improve attendance as well for themselves. I will tell you that as of today, this is today's number, we're seeing a 1% decrease of employee attendance, and we're seeing a large bit of that happening on Fridays. So that's something that we need to continue to look into and listen to as we try to iron some of this out. However, when we talk about the May break, when we look at our May employee attendance, the first week of May last year, 137 absences were reported. This week in May last year, there was 90 absences. And next week in May last year, so when we have the May break this year, there was 144 staff absences. We're already seeing increased attendance in the month of May. 119 in the first week, which is improvement. 82 in the second week, which is right now, is improvement. And then we're taking the break next year. And we believe that this break is correlating to our employees choosing to not use their vacation time to take their breaks as we move through this process. And then lastly, I just want to recognize the board of directors in this data point that I share with you. If you'll remember, at the beginning of the year, we innovatively increased the sub-pay rates in an effort to be best in class in some of our competitors in cities and communities around us. That has correlated to an 88% sub-fill rate. That's up 21% from last year. And so that movement really has made a statistical significance in filling our classrooms with certified substitutes on the days that our class is absent or our teacher is absent. Improving employee retention, again, we wanted to have an innovative calendar process because we want to keep our people, and we think that this calendar is an edgy way of being extremely competitive, especially when we talk about a millennial workforce and a Generation Z workforce, et cetera. Last year, we had a 92% retention rate. That's industry leading, and so I'm very pleased with that. And I know that, it's hiring season right now, so we're seeing a lot of transition and we're seeing a lot of movement. We have 2 principals who are leaving to different districts, which is a very visible exit. But at the same time, if nobody else left today, which is not realistic, we know some other people will leave between now and the start of next school year. But right now, we're looking at a potential 96% retention rate. And so even though there are some high-profile movements, we're actually doing a pretty good job retaining our entire workforce when you think about all of the avenues in which we serve. And I just wanted to share that with the board as well as the public in terms of not only have we moved to an innovative calendar, which we think is extremely competitive, but we truly are measuring to make sure that what we're changing for is making an impact. And there's the data.
I got a question for you, if
Yep,
I may.
absolutely.
Absenteeism, does that include vacations?
Yes, it does.
That's what I was
Yep,
thinking.
and sick days,
Yeah.
correct. Yep. So just a quick communication, the Estacada School District has anticipated and pre-communicated really 5 waves of communication as we finish the school year. The first 3 waves of communication was around our budget updates and our reductions in an effort to pencil the budget. Wave 1 was about changing our model of curriculum and instruction and how we're reconfiguring our improvement coaching model to support the improvement in the classroom. Wave 4 and 5 are actually a work in progress right now, and we're starting to see those communications enter into different levels of our community. And so I wanted to point out that in Wave 4 is the announcement of 2 new principals, both the high school principal and the middle school principal. And I'm excited to share with the board first the announcement pending your approval of Sarah Shields as the new Estacada Middle School principal. We are very excited to bring Sarah onto our team. She's going to bring some unmatched energy and a fresh perspective into Estacada Middle School. I want to be clear that Ben Hargrave has done a phenomenal job transforming the culture of EMS. His shoes will be impossible to fill. However, I think Sarah is going to bring a new perspective that's going to allow us to flourish in different ways, and we're excited about that. Sarah Shields currently is the Director of Curriculum for the Seaside School District, and so we're excited to welcome her from the coast. And prior to that, she was an administrator in the Reynolds School District as well. So she's worked with a vast, diverse group of student populations, and she'll be an instant contributor. In regard to the high school principal, we had started with 7 candidates that we've interviewed. We've gone through 4 or 5 different rounds as we've worked through that process. At this point, we have eliminated every one of those candidates through the process. However, we are in the final rounds of a new candidate who came in just a few days ago. They've made it through the first round that had 20 teachers and other high school employees as a part of that process. At this point, we're optimistic, but we are in no hurry to rush to any type of naming. We're going to make sure that we hire the right fit for the trajectory in which we are going, and we will continue to be hopeful for that to come along. But so far, we do have a promising lead, and we're going to be selective to what fits the Estacada School District the best. And then in wave 5, which is something that is become a hot topic inside the Estacada community, is our new Estacada School District 5-year promise for a college and career pathway. As noted before, about a month ago, the Estacada School District and Estacada High School launched its advanced college pathway. And this is to allow our students the opportunity to graduate from Estacada High School with a high school diploma and concurrently an associate's degree from Clackamas Community College. This is something that is offered in most school districts in Clackamas County. We are probably 10 years behind this game. And so we are aggressively developing this model in an effort to produce that competitive offer and opportunity. It also allows us to compete with charter schools who do the same things. And so this is our attempt to retain Estacada's kids. As Director Berman alluded to, we were expecting or anticipating between 5 and 10 kids to be interested in the first year. We budgeted for 15, and we were surprised to have 31 applicants apply for this process. And what's amazing behind this application process is this validates that there is a strong demand for rigorous, challenging academic opportunities with college credit baked into that. And so we will need to change our budget allocation as we intend to select likely 20 students to be a part of our first cohort. But be prepared, because next year we will have to have a second cohort, which will be an additional 20, which will turn into a larger investment into this program. Our next promise is now just hitting the news circles as we've begun to release what our 5-year promise to our community is when it comes to careers. And what we're stating today is that 5 years from today, all career technical education programs at Estacada High School will have established a direct pipeline to either a livable wage job, a trade school, an apprenticeship, or emerging dual college credit. And so in order to meet that threshold, we're giving all CTE programs 5 years to meet that threshold. If they're unable to meet that threshold, then the school district will either look in a different direction for a different CTE pathway or a different person to lead that pathway. And we're going to be clear about that as we raise the bar in that realm. And so part of our ability to launch this is to open up a fresh canvas in our EHS CTE program. Our Estacada High School leadership has done a phenomenal job creating this blank canvas, and now this gives us the opportunity to hire a new manufacturing teacher, a new agriculture teacher, pending your vote this evening in termination, as well as our ability to reimagine the funding that we've put towards the culinary arts program, which has only produced one child into that industry pathway over the course of 5 years. And we're going to take that money and that investment, and we're going to reimagine it towards a medical career pathway, and we're excited to build that program over the course of the next 5 years. Questions on the Estacada School District 5-year promise? Okay, I'm going to move pretty fast, and I'm going to encourage the public that if you'd like to learn more about our progress towards the strategic plan, to tune into our budget committee meeting that happened earlier this morning. But just in general, I wanted to share with the board and the public how we're doing towards the strategic plan. Green are benchmarks that we have hit. We promised the community we would aspire to achieve these goals, and all of these that you see in green today are areas and avenues where the Estacada School District has hit its mark or exceeded in it, and the Estacada School District is extremely proud to share that to our community today. As we break down these scores, this is where I do want to spend a little bit more time and just seeing exactly how we're doing and who hit their goals. So you can see to the board of directors, you can see that our employee engagement score ended the spring at 4.18 out of 5. That's a 0.08 increase from where we were last fall. we're very pleased to see that even as times become more and more challenging in public education, our employees are telling us that the improvement efforts we're making are in fact improving their best-in-class place to work. Here are the departments in the green ribbons that actually hit their goals, and then others who improved in that as well. Clackamas River Elementary School deserves some note. As you can see, they improved to a 4.07. That was a 0.30 increase, which is massive. And I just want to commend Principal Anderson and Vice Principal Wolf and their team for the culture work that they're working on. Here is the lifespan of our measurement of employee engagement, and you can see that we are a work in progress. I do want to note that that 4.4 was when schools were closed. It was the height of the pandemic, and everybody loved working from home at that time. Our district service excellence continues to thrive in the Estacada School District when it comes to customer service. You can see that our constituents ranked us a 4.61 out of 5. That's a 0.12 increase. And again, the green ribbons you can see are the departments who had goals and they hit those goals. And so again, as we really try to prioritize service excellence, this is evidence that we're doing good work. You can see the history of that over the timeline there. Student engagement is an area we have for growth. So we scored a 3.95 from our students, which is a reduction of 0.03. 92% of our students participated in this survey. So we had a great sample size in terms of what this looks like. River Mill Elementary School was able to hold their own with a 0.01 increase, but the remainder of the schools did see some slide, particularly at Estacada Middle School. And so having this data is celebratory because now we get to start asking questions as to what strategies we can intentionally use to improve. So failing forward is a win here, and this gives us an opportunity to re-engage our students. Here's how you can see how we've done over time when it comes to student engagement. Parent satisfaction is a major win for us to share to the board and to our community tonight. You can see that our overall score, the parents of our community scored us a 4.02. That's a 0.07 increase. I highlighted that in yellow because our goal was to score a 4.05 from fall to spring. So we fell just a little bit short of that goal. However, it's important to note that we have never scored over a 4 ever in the history of this survey. Again, I need to commend Estacada Middle School. So while the students became less engaged, our parents became more satisfied. That's going to be a data point we're going to need to rectify. But nonetheless, congratulations to Estacada Middle School for their 0.13 growth. We know that middle school is such a challenging time. And again, our parents have reflected that they are pleased in general with the outcomes when it comes to that. And so they hit their goal, and you can see where other schools did in that. But 4.02 is record-breaking growth, and you can see our history over time when it comes to that. And lastly, financial effectiveness. The board of directors and I have really invested a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into being as transparent as we can be about how school district uses its taxpayer money. We scored a 3.88 out of 5 on that, but that's a 0.17 increase from the fall to the spring. We know that we made some politically difficult decisions, particularly when it came to installing an artificial surface with the football stadium. We know that satisfaction in terms of financial effectiveness took a statistical dip because of that tough decision. That was a decision that we considered at length when we made that, and you can see now that we're already starting to see growing trends since that decision in the good direction. And again, here's where you can see evidence of people hitting their goal when it comes to communicating that from that perspective. And again, here's our historical trend of financial effectiveness over time. So I just wanted to share with the board how we're doing when it comes to the strategic plan and all of those green boxes I shared with you at the very beginning. And I do just want to conclude when it comes to financial effectiveness that I want to share with the board of directors and the world today that for the first time in our school district's history, we've been recognized by the Oregon Business Associates, school business officials. We've received an excellence award. Last year, only 11 school districts in the state of Oregon received this award. We don't know how many received it this year, but Estacada School District is one of them. We've never been recognized for great transparent finances, and this is our first time doing that. So 5 clean audits in a row and an award at the state level should portray to our community that we are doing a phenomenal job with taxpayer funds and being accountable and open to that process. So I wanted to share that with the board because that's a shared win between all of us and the work that we put into ensuring that our books are open for the community to see. My final reminder, as Danny Randall and our community liaison referred to, is our strategic plan survey. I know the board has already had opportunities to take this, but I just want to remind the people who are watching live streaming right now, which is in double digits, that this is a great opportunity to shoot this QR code and tell us what you think the Estacada School District should look like over the course of the next 5 years. Our old strategic plan, which is the one we're sunsetting today, was our true anchor of who we wanted to be and what we wanted to reflect and represent. That's allowed us to stay focused on our values. We are now building a new one to allow us to remain focused on our values, and we want the voice of our community to tell us what they want their school district to be. And so I encourage you to take that. As Danny suggested, we're already over 300. We want this survey and our strategic planning process to touch thousands. And so we have a long ways to go, but we want to collect that voice. That is your superintendent's report, and if there are any questions from the board, I would love to answer.
Any questions for Ryan?
I have one, starting from the beginning, the sub-fill rate.
Yep.
I think it was last meeting you mentioned that the state legislature or somebody at the state capitol is trying to eliminate the use of third-party sub-agencies.
Yes, correct.
Has there any ground been made on that to stop that? Because I feel like that has a little bit of, well, you can actually answer that question. Does that have help in that sub-fill rate?
Yes, that's a big portion of our substitute fill rate. And while we were frustrated with a third party last year, ESS has been instrumental in recruiting and bringing in more substitutes through their service. So our pool in Estacada is relatively limited because of the size that we are. But people who work in Gladstone, Canby, Molalla, Estacada, Clackamas, they sign up through this third-party service, which gives us a broader range of people who may not be selected in the North Clackamas School District that day, but still want to make a wage and come out to Estacada. And so this will be a disadvantage for us. How it's doing in Salem, their plan and trajectory is for that to pass. However, if you'll notice, the Republican side of that house isn't showing up to Congress anymore. So everything has literally stalled down in Salem in terms of moving things forward. Yep.
From a COSA standpoint and like OSBA, where do they land on it politically?
They are opposed to it. COSA, which represents the administrators in Oregon, are opposed to it. School Board Association is opposed to it. Teachers Union and Classified Union is a strong component of it because they want, in a lot of districts, wants a substitute who is included locally for 6 months or more becomes a dues-paying union members in many big districts. And so they are strong advocates for keeping the substitute pooling and hiring process and payroll locally rather than it being third-partied out.
I have another question. The Estacada Middle School survey, can we bring that slide up?
Yep.
By chance?
You said students?
Yeah. And my question on it is, I have 2 students in that school.
Yep.
One of them is awful spicy at times, and I understand that his feelings on these surveys, and I'm wondering if we're asking the right questions. And how many times, I mean, just knowing like, go clean your room, go pick up your dirty clothes, how many times I can say that before it's just white noise?
Right.
And so I'm wondering if we can reshape that question and it's gonna change the data a little bit,
Yeah.
but maybe deliver it in a different way.
Yeah, yes, it is possible to do that. You're right about the data and how the longitudinal data over time is critical for us, as well as these survey questions are also nationally normed. So they rank our students compared to other students to see if there's any difference nationally from our school to others. And so the consistency of those questions are important. However, timing, how we deliver, working through those processes are things that we do have control of on the inside, where we could potentially, or we could add questions too, if we're looking for different, if we're measuring different things.
Okay.
Yep.
You just don't want to change the goalpost.
We would like not to change the goalposts other than, only because it doesn't give us that
Right.
historical trend.
Right.
Yeah. And I care about how our kids are in comparison to other kids around the country, because I want to make sure we're offering an equal to or better product. Yeah.
Which is also normalized in the business world, right?
Correct.
So it's across an industry, you keep those questions consistent so that we're all
That's
on
right.
the same playing field, so.
Yep,
Could we get a copy of this question sometime?
absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen the student survey.
Can we give them a cookie when we give them the survey?
If we would be over 4 if we did that, that's for sure.
All right. Any other questions for Ryan? All right, thank you for the data, thanks for the report.
My pleasure.
Up next, reports and presentations, the Reagan Christine Alves Annual Memorial Fundraiser, and we have Ms. Lisa Alves here, so come on down, Lisa. And Jessica Richardson as well.
Yes. Hi, I promised you last year I'd be back.
Welcome
And I
back.
am. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I just want to take a few minutes to kind of talk to you about what I've been doing, because I haven't seen y'all for a while. And kind of give you an update as to how we're engaging with the student body at Estacada. One of the things I thought you would all be super excited about is my mission statement. It's evolved, so I'm going to read it to you really quick. I know, Ryan, this is for you. The Reagan Christine Memorial Fund exists to provide scholarship awards and support community endeavors that offer resources to children in the Estacada and Lakeview, Oregon communities. Our mission includes year-long fundraising in a loving and fun manner that keeps the loving spirit of Reagan Christine in our hearts and our homes. So with that in mind, I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about just how this kind of evolved. Just to remind you, Reagan passed away in a car accident on May 31st, 2021. So we're coming up on the second anniversary of her passing. It's been a rougher year this year. And it's hard to come to the school, but you know, I'm back going to softball games and seeing the kids, and that's been really fun. We got approved as a nonprofit in March of 2022, and we launched our first fundraiser last year in May. It's always gonna be in May around Reagan's birthday, which is May 19th, so it's coming up May 20th. Just gave you an invitation, and a little bracelet. Oh, they're supposed to get bracelets.
I'll do that.
Anyway, we had our first, just to kind of describe to you, if you weren't able to come, it started with a cornhole tournament, and we had about 45 participants in the cornhole tournament, and it raised a ton of money. It was insane how much money it raised. But in addition to that, we had a hot dog stand, we had music playing all day. The city of Estacada donated their stage to us. So we had live music going all day. We had face painting for the kids. We made love rocks. What else did we do? I had a silent auction, which we had over 90 items donated. Every single thing went. Everything got bid on. There wasn't anything left during the day. And it was just, the sun came out. It had been raining for weeks. And we were so worried. And the sun came out that day, and it was really just divine intervention, I think. So one of the other things we did in October of this last year was a luau, because our family really loves Hawaii, and it was another amazing event. We probably had about 100 people there. Wow. We had Polynesian dancers. We had, acoustical guitar playing. We had a little tiki hut that had adult things in it. And it was just a really great event. Everybody came in their Hawaiian gear, and it was just super fun. And that's probably something we'll do every other year. But it was just a really great way to incorporate some of Reagan's loves into fundraising for the kids in Estacada. So with that said, we decided, why fix what's not broken? It was really a successful event last year, so we're going to go with the same spirit. We're changing things up for the little kids. We really want to engage the younger children in our community. So we've got little hippie wraps for their hair, friendship bracelets.
Some painting of wooden mushrooms, because
Yeah,
Reagan
little-
loved mushrooms.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff there. Our auction is again turning out to be, we've got so many beautiful donations from a lot of the families here in this town. So it's really inspiring to have the participation of the community, particularly this one, because without her, I probably couldn't be standing here right now. We also had a really successful raffle for a rifle, which is super popular, and it raised about $10,000. Yeah, so this is pretty exciting. We will, at this event this year, we will be raffling or announcing the winner to that raffle. We're going to be giving two $1,900 scholarships to two Estacada students this year. And I want to hone in on that just a little bit, because we worked a lot with Alice-Ann and the Aspire office to kind of determine, like, where's our fit here? And one of the things that we found of all of the scholarships that were being provided to our students was, it was all really like financial and academic driven. And none of them really asked about who the kids were. And so it was really important to our board that we get to know these kids, because we have several people on our board that aren't from Estacada. They don't know the kids like, Jess and I would. And so they said, we really want to know who they are. And so some of the questions that we asked weren't like, what's your financial constraints, or can we get your mom and dad's tax returns? We didn't ask for their grades. We didn't ask for any of that. We asked them, what are some unique qualities about you that are going to help you achieve your goals? What are some of the challenges that you face or obstacles that are going to come in your way that will prevent you from meeting your goals? What are some things that you have done that are about doing the right thing when nobody was looking? And those are the things that we decided to do, was find the student that is really involved in their community, involved in their family, like whatever that means for them, but not, there might be the kid that they can't do all the after-school activities because they've got to work because mom's sick. We really wanted to identify that student. And we got 14 scholarship applications, which Alice-Ann said was the most of all of the scholarships. And I've read through some of them. And one of the kids said, it was so refreshing to fill out this scholarship application because you wanted to know who I was. And she nailed it, because that's exactly what we wanted to do. And so we're really excited. We're choosing our two recipients tomorrow night at our own board meeting. And then we will be announcing them at our fundraiser at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And hopefully whoever we choose will be able to be there. So we're all really, really excited about that. And I know that you guys, the time constraints of being a board member are really heavy on you. And I know that firsthand. But I know you all have a lot of skin in this game too. You all have a lot of children in this community. So I just ask for your support. If you can come, that'd be great. Make a donation, or, we're still taking auction items, that sort of thing. But to see you and to have your participation, you just have no idea how much it means to me. So we're excited about that. One of the other things that I wanted to tell you is some of the things that we have to, I gotta go back. We're also, you guys all know the new dance studio, Crescendo downtown. So they have a group of little girls that won a dance competition, And they got invited to dance in New York City this summer in July. And they came to us for a grant for their travel expenses. So we're going to be awarding them $1,000
Wow.
at the fundraiser in a couple weeks. And they're going to come dance. So I'm super excited about that. So if you know anybody, they're 2nd through 4th graders, come see them dance. And of course, Ken will be there playing music.
Yes.
We hope, unless there's baseball, but, right? You'll be there.
Working on it.
Anyway, fun times, you guys. But a few of the things that we did in the middle of all this, over Christmas, there was a local family that had been more or less homeless. And so they were identified to us, and they had just found a home, but they were a little low on the deposit. So we paid for their housing deposit so that they could not have to pay that. And then we adopted their kid for Christmas and made sure that she got clothing and toiletries and things of that nature, just, to take care of the community in another way. We donated a Safe Act, of course, last year, and we'll be doing that again. They just sent me like their wish list. It's really long. But they deserve it. That's another good group that we want to make sure that we support. We're also in Lake County. I know that doesn't, mean much here in Estacada, but it's a county that is supporting our efforts for this community. So I want to make sure we're doing. We donated to a youth mentor program there. So it's a girls resource group that helps not necessarily at-risk kids, but maybe they just don't have the support they need, at home. We made a donation to the new Estacada swim team. So that's
Yes.
cool, right?
Yeah.
And I think for now, that's kind of it. I think one thing that I would love for you to remember is that we're here, and our goal, Greg and I and the board, is to make this a sustainable memorial fund. Like, we don't want to go away. I mean, Greg and I will age out, the students will age out, and they won't know Reagan anymore. Like, I get that. But we want to make sure that this is something that is long-term for this community. And so, I'll always ask if I can come back and remind you that we're here. But I would ask you to think about us. If there's a need, or a student in need, or just something where you think, gosh, maybe Lisa could help us with this. Maybe Reagan could get involved in this and keep her memory alive that way. That means everything to me. So just keep me in the back of your head. I'm still here. I'm still around. And I know I've taken up way more time. You guys are being very gracious. This year would be Reagan's Sweet 16. And that is a rite of passage that I'm really missing. So we're going to be celebrating her 16th birthday at the fundraiser this year. So say a little happy birthday to her for me, and we'll give you your bracelets. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Lisa.
Ben, you've got 15 questions all the time.
He already used them.
You can't sing, right? Or can you sing?
No, I can't sing.
No singing and dancing.
No singing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, good luck following that. Next up is Amy Mikesell, EHS end-of-year activities.
Good evening. Happy to be here tonight. I can't believe we're already in May. It feels like May's almost over, actually, when thinking about the upcoming May break. So super excited to just share with everyone the events that we have planned, primarily to honor the class of 2023, but I also wanted to highlight a couple other events that maybe weren't mentioned. Denise, did you get the one pager? The board got it? Okay, great. Thank you. So actually tomorrow is kind of the kickoff to our celebration for the class of 2023, as well as welcoming the new class of Rangers for the class of 2027. So tomorrow, Alician Bresco, who is our fabulous college and career coordinator, is hosting our I've Decided event for the class of 23. So it happens during the school day. It's an opportunity for our seniors and our graduating juniors to just kind of come together and share out what their post-high school plans are. Or are not, and that's okay. It's okay to not have it all figured out yet. I think sometimes I feel like I don't have it figured out yet. So super excited about that opportunity for our seniors. And then tomorrow evening, we'll be welcoming, we started this last year as a way to help the transition between middle school to high school, hosting an event to welcome our incoming ninth graders, our next class of Rangers. We had huge success with it last year. Great feedback from students and families, and so looking forward to inviting our class of 27 to the high school tomorrow evening. We'll serve dinner. We've got swag. They get the opportunity to meet all of the teachers and hear about the different programs, clubs, activities, athletics that the high school offers. So looking forward to that event. Senior panoramic photo has been we've rescheduled it, I think, 6 times. So thank you to Josh Gray and Tammy Yeager for being so flexible and making that happen. We really were looking for a date. As we all know, spring is very busy with the arts and athletics, and so trying to schedule is nearly impossible. So we'll have that. Another new event this year for us is the yearbook signing, so really trying to provide opportunities for our student body to come together. As you saw earlier in the student engagement survey, that's been something we've really been trying to figure out what is maybe the magic solution there to really increase school culture. And Mr. Christiansen and our student council has done a wonderful job this year of starting to really create more of a cultural shift with our students. So Ms. Collins, our yearbook advisor, came with the idea of hosting a yearbook signing party. Sometimes yearbooks don't come until the fall. Now they're going to be here during the spring. So just an event to be able to bring everyone together. So that's actually on our seniors' last day of school. Senior clearance days, if you have a senior, you'll hear more about that. Just making sure that students have everything wrapped up before they depart. Senior recognition assembly, and really truly that's our end of year recognition assembly, so it's not exclusive to seniors, it's primarily focused on our senior class, which is June 14th in the auditorium. Again, we've kind of shifted where that has happened. Last year it was really successful in the auditorium, and we don't have to worry about weather then. The baccalaureate is an optional event that our community hosts. Senior breakfast will be provided on June 15th by our Booster Club, which we always appreciate their support, and that will precede the grad walk. So mark your calendars, June 15th. Grad walk departing the high school about 10:30. We'll head, our typical route will go down Pierce Street into Clackamas River, then up through the middle school, over to River Mill, and then back to the high school. Senior lunch provided by our fabulous board of directors on June 16th, prior to our graduation practice, which I always say is more stressful than the actual graduation event, which the graduation ceremony will be on June 17th, followed by a fireworks display, which has become a new tradition, I think, over the last 4 years. And a couple of things I just wanted to add to it, to this list, is our band and choir concert. Our final concert of the year will be on June 12th. And then on May 22nd, we are hosting our state championship football ring ceremony. So should be a great event to honor the athletes and the coaching staff, and then all of the community members, including yourselves, that have supported the program. And then just another great community event. It'll be open to the community at large. So that will be, that is the day we return from May break. So May 22nd, the ceremony itself open to the public starts at 7. If you've received your invitation, 6 o'clock is a catered dinner for the ring recipients and their families. Anything for me?
So not much going on.
Nope, not much at all. No.
If there is anything, Amy, I'd say if there's something in particular that you want a larger board presence to, please let us know.
Okay.
Because I know some of those it's easy to have, some of it's not as easy to have. So if there's a couple that you're like, I'd really like to be able to focus on getting multiple people here, that would be helpful for us as we start to schedule as well.
Perfect, I'll share
Yeah.
that with Denise.
Cool,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Amy.
thanks, Amy.
Yes.
All right, on to item G, this discussion, and we have none. On to item H, hearing of citizens for action items only. We have none. All right, on to item I. The consent agenda includes a package of one or more items to be voted on as a unit. However, if any board member is not in favor of one or more agenda items and prefers to take separate action, a request to the chair anytime prior to the vote, we'll remove that item for a separate vote. So first up is the consent agenda.
Chair Rydell, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and second. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
Is this the first reading or second reading of these?
Second
Oh, sorry,
reading.
second reading.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion on the consent agenda? So we're moving forward with the second reading instead of the first reading of the OSBA policies. We got those last month in the first reading.
Correct.
Yep.
And Director Berman was briefed in person, as he's kind of the liaison for the board.
All right.
Yeah, it was mostly minor corrections and, nothing major.
Awesome. Thanks, Director Berman. All right, it's been moved, seconded, discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to item J, the committee's recommendation for math instructional materials.
Chair Idell, I move to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase math instructional materials K through 12 and approve the use of Houghton, Mifflin,
Houghton.
that's what I meant to say is Houghton, Milfin, Mifflin, Harcourt K5, and Savas Envision for 6, 8, and 9/12 as our adopted math instructional materials.
You picked the wrong one.
I kept thinking Dunder Mifflin.
It's been moved. Could I get a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd like to ask our new Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Jennifer Berman,
Come
to
on down, Jennifer Berman.
just give a brief explanation of this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, so we are asking for the adoption of K-12, and the process really started in December. We had a big committee of administrators, teachers, all math teachers from 6th grade to 12th grade, and then a representative from each PLC for K-5, along with our learning specialists. And we came together after a few meetings talking about our mission, vision, and values and how that aligns to the framework we wanted to see in our math curriculum and instructional materials, and it aligning to the new Oregon Math Project. And so when we went through all of that, came up with what our priorities were, we created a screener out of that process, and then we screened all of the recommended ODE curriculums that were put before us and came up with the top 2 and brought those samples in, allowed every single teacher the opportunity to look through those materials along with our community, and took all of that feedback and ended up with our top choices, which is what we are presenting to you today. We also have on the agenda is our high school 9 through 12th grade language arts. So we started that process last year, and that team just needed a little more time to figure out and make sure it was a right fit. And so that's what we decided up with the open resources for this year, and excited to move forward. Those are 7-year commitments, and so we're feeling really good that those will be a good support and resource as we work on proficiency toward our essential learning standards. Any questions?
This is ready to go for 2023?
Yes, so pending tonight, I plan on spending May break purchasing all of that, and the goal is to have it in district, in teachers' hands before they leave for the summer.
Okay, any other questions?
And for our community or for the board, there are some examples of the curriculum at the table behind, because we know textbooks and reading and library are all political hot topics, and we want to be extremely transparent in what's available for our kids to read.
Awesome. Okay, any other discussion? Moved, seconded, discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, on to item K for a recommended dismissal.
All right, now I move to approve the recommended dismissal.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This is in the consent agenda as well as the personnel actions and staff reports. I'm correct, so. Any discussion needed on this one? Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
On to item L, the aforementioned by Jennifer Berman to approve the committee's recommendation for 912 ELA.
Chair Idell, I move to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase supplemental curriculum material 912 and approve our use of open educational resources as our instructional material for language arts at the high school level. Slightly better.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I think Jen already attached to this, but this is the one that we had delayed, correct?
Correct.
Because we just weren't, and I want that to be out there, that instead of just rubber stamping the curriculum because that was the time frame to do it in, I really appreciate those parties that were involved that just recognize now's not the right time. Let's not rubber stamp something and go into something that is not going to be as effective as we want. So I know that that's a hard decision to make because there's some compliance stuff and all of those things that there's some risk there, but I believe, and I think the board believes as well, that's the right decision to ensure that we are selecting the correct curriculum. So thank you for all involved on that front. Okay, any other discussion on item L? All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to item N, the Vocera communication equipment.
Chair Rydell, I move to approve the Estacada School District to purchase communication equipment and services from Vocera for the amount of $197,766.50.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I know we've discussed this at length in several board meetings prior to, so I don't know if there's anything that Ryan, that you feel like would be added, or if we have additional questions?
I think the only thing that needs to be mentioned is the board had approved this for a ceiling of $190,000. And so we're coming to you today to increase that ceiling by $6,000, and this will finalize the purchase.
Okay.
Just the difference is we're purchasing 25 more equipment than what was on the original quote.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any other questions or discussion?
One more. It's important for the public to note that this is coming from our ESSER fund. So this is not general fund dollars paying for this emergency communication equipment. It is coming from the federal monies that were given to us during COVID, and we're utilizing this as a one-time purchase to really upgrade our safety and internal communication system.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to item N, to appoint a new budget committee member, which will make our budget committee completely fully staffed for the first time in a long time, so. Just add that, it's not on the paper, but.
Chair Rydell, I move to appoint the following individual to the Budget Committee. Lori Huntman, to position number 4.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that?
What's her term gonna be?
3 years.
3?
Okay.
3 years.
Jennifer Long Haul then. Good.
And I will say again that the budget committee is, as referenced before, we had a budget committee meeting right prior to this meeting. And the award that Superintendent Carpenter alluded to, that mentioned that the district won for transparency and effective use of public funds. The budget committee plays a large role in that, in making sure that the message from the community, the input from the community, and that extra set of eyes. So for those of you who don't know, how many other members are on the budget committee?
7 or 6 others.
6 others, right? So it's the entire board plus 6 other people that are all hammering over these numbers. So,
7 other.
7 other,
Yeah.
thank you.
1 for 1.
Thank you. So it's a lot of eyes looking at it, and it's not taken lightly. So, and I think we see the results of that as
Yes.
clean audit and clean spending, so,
And award-winning.
and award-winning.
Yep.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And on to item O, resolution 2223-3.
Chair, Rydell, I move to authorize resolution 2223-3.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded, and so just for public consumption, this is the budget. So
Correct.
this is the official approval, so the budget committee
No,
builds, helps
no,
builds
no.
the budget?
This
No?
is an amendment to the 2022-23
sorry.
budget.
That is correct.
And I'm happy to go over that
Sure, that would be
information with
great.
you.
Yes, thank you.
As we shared with the board at the general, in the board meeting, the financials, the support services is pretty close, 98%. And so I wanted to move some funding from the instructional services to the support services so we stay within our appropriation levels. And then also, since we are receiving more state school funding than what we budgeted, and we're finding that we are needing a higher transfer to our food services funds, and then we're also hoping to transfer some of that additional money to our capital projects funds. I'm requesting that we transfer 500,000 out from the contingency into the internal
Got it.
fund transfers.
And that's what this resolution is.
That is what that resolution is.
I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Who authorizes us to take money out of our right pocket and put it in our left pocket?
You do,
You do.
Yeah.
and that's what this is doing.
That's what we're doing right here.
But is there a dollar limit?
No, there's not.
So if one
It
one
is.
budget outline item is 200,000 and you need 20,000, you're below it and you want to steal 20,000 from it to put in the other line item?
Well, there is limits. If it's a higher amount or more, we would have to do a supplemental budget, and then we would have to do a public hearing for it. But this, just transferring it from,
I've got it.
okay, you
Yeah,
got it.
so there are pillars inside our budget. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 is the name of the pillars. And so what we can't legally do is overspend that 1,000 column. So before we overspend on that, or if we were to, we would need to move something from 2,000 into 1,000, and that requires board approval. However, inside that 1,000 pillar, there's probably 100 different budgets, and we could overspend in that budget and move things inside that.
Within that pillar.
Within that column.
Yeah.
We have the discretion to do that,
Right.
as long as we don't overspend that column.
Right.
But if we need to move money from one column to the next, that requires board authorization.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Great question. Okay, any other questions or discussion on item O? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand or say hi. Not say hi, say aye.
Motion carries.
It's been a long meeting, we got here at like 5. Okay, item P, hearing of citizens for non-action items.
Yes, we have Cynthia Trindell.
All right, Cynthia, come on down. When you get here, I've got a paragraph I get to read. So as a board, we appreciate and encourage public input. However, Oregon public meeting law requires these sessions to be held in public. This is a meeting in public, it is not a public meeting. The primary difference being that the public input may be requested or allowed, but is not required under the law. In other words, you have the right to view, but not necessarily to participate. Policy BDDH is the guide for public participation. In essence, it states that citizens must sign up in advance of the beginning of the regular meeting for an opportunity to speak. At all times, your comments are to be addressed directly to the board. Speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Those with common topic of interest are asked to combine comments where possible, designate topic at time of sign-up, and stay on topic. Any items already directed to the Office of the Superintendent for review will not be heard in board session. Finally, neither the board nor the district personnel are expected or required to respond to comments and/or questions during the board meeting. So what I will do, it is 3 minutes. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, so we won't start the 3 minutes until you have a chance to introduce yourself. and then we'll kick that off. It is awkward and weird. At the end of 3 minutes, I say, thank you, we're done, and we just move on. So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there now. So you'll see the timer on a monitor, I'm sure, down here once it gets rolling. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the board, and then we'll get started.
My name is Cynthia Trendell. I am a single mom to a 7th grader here at Estacada Middle School.
Perfect, thank you.
My son and I have been residents of Estacada for 4 years now. This school year has been anything but successful. Our weeks are met with my son coming home frustrated, upset, and stressed out for what is required of him. When I'm not working 10-hour days, I'm helping him with homework or contacting the staff asking, sometimes begging for help. I'm constantly being told that what I'm seeing at home is not what my son is expressing at school. The numbers and progress my son is making does not reflect how he was comprehending the learning. After constant IEP meetings, countless emails back and forth with administrators and SPED educators, just when I think we're making progress, we fall 3 steps behind. Please do not tell me my son is unteachable. Please do not tell me my son does not deserve the same opportunities as other children his age. I'm here today to fight and advocate for my son. I'm here today to ask for help. My requests have gone unanswered or met with excuses, and frankly, I'm done with them. My first request is that my son would get a one-on-one aide and it would be funded for him for next year. Whether it be part-time or full-time, it would be a huge asset to his learning and growth. We were promised one at the beginning of the school year and met with empty promises. I asked for an aide months ago and was met with condescending remarks from administration. My second request would be that the communication or lack thereof would change and improve at Estacada Middle School. Emails are not doing the job, and a lot of questions and requests are getting lost. I don't feel like I'm asking for a whole lot here. You cannot expect young teens, especially those with learning disabilities, to attend school for 8 hours a day, have over 2 hours of homework, still hold a social life, and have time for extracurricular activities. I'm asking for your help to prepare my son and give him the best start to 7th grade. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right, any other hearings for non-action items,
Nope,
Denise?
that was it.
Okay, that brings us to item Q, which is adjournment. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining online.